Good morning, children. Today we are going to start with a new chapter and a very first chapter of botany, asexual and sexual reproduction in plants. Children, I know very well what is reproduction, that you people are know about the reproduction, isn't it? What is reproduction? Is of course production of young one. Production of young one is called reproduction. Okay, what for living organisms reproduce their own species to perpetuate their species on the earth? You think that without reproduction any organisms can live. It will not affect the life of an organism. But still why they are reproducing? That is a question. Okay, without reproduction an organism, any living organism can be live. Still why they are reproducing? This is a question. Okay, one side we are arising. And think that without reproduction, without digestive system we can't live. Even any disturbance in the secretion of enzyme or secretions of acid in the stomach or any diseases in the stomach or intestine or esophagus, it affects the digestive function and it affects the whole metabolic activity of our body and leads to consequences has taken place in the organisms. Okay, but like that in without reproductive system we can live, or without reproduction any organism can be live. Still why reproduction is essential? Okay, that's a question arising in our mind. See, yes, of course without reproduction we can live, but still why organisms are reproduced? To perpetuate their species in the earth. That means to continue to leave their young ones in the earth. That's what all living organisms are reproducing. See, imagine there is no reproduction at all hereafter on the earth in all the species. What will be the situation? The species which are existing now alone will be remaining in the earth. There is no production of new species on the earth. One day all the species will be extinct from the earth. So all the living organism on the earth will be extinct. So to avoid that, to continue their species on the earth, all living organism producing their own species. The cow produce a cow young one of their own species. Like that, one hibiscus flower produce their own species. One mango tree produce their own species. Like that, their own species are produced by the parents. That is called what? Reproduction, and the essentiality of the reproduction. Okay. One of the essential feature of all living things on the earth is reproduction. What is reproduction? Definition here, please bracket it. Reproduction is a vital process for the existence of species, and it also brings suitable changes through variation in the offspring for their survival on earth. Okay, this is what reproduction definition. Reproduction, it is a vital process. What for the existence of a species, that means to continuity of the species on the earth, and it also brings suitable changes through variation. And what is mean by variation? We could see the variation in the sexual reproduction. We cannot see variation in the asexual reproduction. What is sexual reproduction? Producing young ones by the fusion of gametes, male and female gametes. See, male gamete possess one kind of genetic constituents and female gametes possess one kind of genetic constituents. When these two constituents mixing and producing the young one, and the young one will be with a variation and changes. That's what saying here. Plant reproduction is important not only for its own survival but also for the continuation and existence of all other organisms, since the latter directly or indirectly depend on plants. Okay, I said reproduction is essential for the continuity of their own species on the earth. But when we speak about the plant reproduction, apart from the continuity of the species on the earth, it is also essential to continuity of all living organism on the earth. Why? Because either directly or indirectly all living organism depend on plants for their food. Okay. That's what, if plant cannot reproduce or will not reproduce, what happen? The plant which are existing on the earth will be extinct one day. So during that time, what the living organism, other living organism like animals will do, because all animals either directly or indirectly depend on the plants so for their food. So once a plant become extinct, what happen? Automatically, gradually, all living organisms on the earth will be extinct. That's what. So reproduction also plays an important role in evolution. In this unit, let us learn in detail about reproduction in plants. Basically, reproduction occurring in organism fall under two major categories that we know very well. One is asexual reproduction, another one is sexual reproduction. Hope I don't want to explain it once again, because already I taught it in zoology. What is asexual reproduction, what is asexual reproduction, you know very well. And this box items also you learn, children, because from that you can have a 1 mark or 2 mark question. Professor P. Mageshwari was an eminent botanist who specialized in plant embryology, morphology and anatomy. In 1934, he became the Fellow of Indian Academy of Science. He published the book titled An Introduction to the Embryology of Angiosperm. So the book titled An Introduction to the Embryology of Angiosperm was published by Professor Mageshwari, and he established the International Society for Plant Morphologists in 1951. Okay, let's see about asexual reproduction. The reproduction method which helps to perpetuate its own species without the involvement of gametes is referred to as asexual reproduction. Unit 1 of class 11, we know that reproduction is one of the attributes of living things, and the different types of reproduction have also been discussed. Okay, in 11th standard and unit 1 of class 11, we have discussed the different types of reproduction. So like bryophytes, what are the types of reproduction? In fungi, what are the different types of reproduction? In algae, all. If you have any clarification, you can go through it. Okay, lower plants, fungi and animals serves the different methods of asexual reproduction. What are the different methods of reproduction? Asexual reproduction are formation of gonadia in Aspergillus and Penicillium, it is a fungi, and budding in yeast and hydra, fragmentation in Spirogyra, production of gemma in Marchantia, regeneration in Planaria, binary fission in bacteria. Regarding this, if you have any clarification, please refer chapter 1 of class 11. And the individuals formed by this method is morphologically, genetically identical and are called clones. Bracketed, children. The organisms produced by asexual reproduction are called as clones. Why? Because the individuals formed by asexual reproduction are morphologically and genetically identical and are called as clone. This is what answer. Because only one parent involved in asexual reproduction, the genes present in that single parent will be inherited to the offspring also. So the offsprings produced by this single parent will look alike. So it is called as clone. Higher plants also reproduce asexually by different methods which are given below. Vegetative reproduction. Vegetative reproduction means what? Actually, reproduction produced through a vegetative part of a plant is called vegetative reproduction. So here, what are the vegetative parts? Root, stem, leaves are called what? Vegetative part of a plant. Flower only considered as a reproductive part of a plant. Vegetative reproduction, natural methods. Natural vegetative reproduction is a form of asexual reproduction in which a bud grows and develops into a new bud plant. The buds may be formed in organs such as root, stem and leaf. At some stage, the new plant gets detached from the parent plant and starts to develop into a new plant. Okay. In natural vegetative reproduction, it is a form of asexual reproduction only, in which the bud grows in a plant and develop into a new plant. The buds may be formed in organs such as root, stem and leaf. The buds may be formed in root or stem and leaf. So when suitable situation or at the some stage of plant life, the buds detach from the parent plant and fall on the substratum or on the soil and develop into a new plant. This is called what? Natural method of vegetative reproduction. Some of the organs involved in vegetative reproduction also serve as the organs of storage and perennation. The unit of reproductive structure used in the propagation is called reproductive propagules or diaspores. Some of the organs that help in vegetative reproduction are given in the figure also. Let's discuss one by one. Then vegetative reproduction in roots. How vegetative reproduction take place in root, or how roots are involved in vegetative reproduction. We can take it in two ways. The roots of some plants develop vegetative or adventitious buds on them. Example, Murraya dalbergia and Millingtonia. These are the two plants. They produce buds in their roots. Some tuberous adventitious roots, apart from developing buds, also store food. See, some of the tuberous and adventitious root, apart from producing buds, they also store the food. Example, Ipomia batatas and Dahlia. Roots possessing buds become detached from the parent plant and grow into independent plant under suitable condition. Okay, so roots possessing buds which become detached from the parent plant and grow into an independent plant under suitable condition. This is what vegetative reproduction in roots. Next, do you know, you see, this all you go through by yourself, children. Terror of Bengal, which is called Terror of Bengal. Eichhornia gracipes, that is water hyacinth, is called what? Terror of Bengal. Please go through it. And vegetative reproduction in stem. From the unit 3 of class 11 vegetative morphology, you are familiar with the structure of various underground stem and subaerial stem modification. Yes, we had a lesson in 11th standard, chapter 3, vegetative morphology and vegetative reproductive morphology, also two, vegetative morphology and reproductive morphology. We had a two lesson in 11th standard. In this vegetative morphology, we could see the root, stem, leaf, everything, and root modification, stem modification and leaf modification, everything we have discussed in 11th standard. In under stem modification, we can see the different modification of stem, a subaerial stem. These include rhizome. In Musa paradisiaca, that is banana, the stem is modified into rhizome and present under the soil, and Gingiber abyssinae also. Then Curcuma longa. These are the rhizome which are seen in a plant. And next one is corm. Corm is present in Amorphophallus and Colocasia. Then as a tuber, Solanum tuberosum act as a tuber, and pulp Eleum cepha, that is onion, which act as a pulp, and lilium. Renner Centella asiatica, stolon Mentha fragaria, offset, that Pistia and Eichhornia, sucker Chrysanthemum, bulbils, Dioscorea and agave. The axillary buds from the knots of rhizome and eyes of tuber give rise to a new plants. Okay, so these are the modification of stem, underground modification or subaerial stem modification. Okay, aerial, actually stems are aerial in position only. Some of the plants they have a subaerial stem that is present under the ground, and which shows different kinds of modification, tubers, pulps, rhizome, sucker, like that. Okay, these modification act as a vegetative part and develop into a young plant. Okay, this is called what? Reproduction by stem in plants. Next, vegetative reproduction in leaf. In some plants, adventitious buds are developed on their leaves. When they are detached from the parent plant, they grow into new individual plants. Example, Bryophyllum, Cilia and Begonia. In Bryophyllum, the leaf is succulent and notched on its margin. Adventitious buds develop at the notches and are called epiphyllous buds. Okay, the adventitious buds developed at the notches of Bryophyllum are called epiphyllous buds. They develop into new plants forming a root system and become independent plants when their leaf gets decayed. Okay, so at the margin or notches of the leaf, actually bryophyllum, the leaf is like a succulent. At its margin or notches, it develop a buds. These buds are called epiphyllous buds. This buds develop into new plant and forming a root system and become independent plant when the leaf gets decayed. Then Scilla is a bulbous plant and grows in sandy soils. The foliage, what is mean by foliage? It is a type of leaf only. Foliage leaves are long and narrow and epiphyllous buds develop at their tips. In bryophyllum, the epiphyllous develop, that is buds develop at the margin or notches of the leaves. But in case of Scilla, which is grow in the sandy soil, the epiphyllous buds develop at their tips. These buds develop into new plants when they touch the soil. Okay. So these are the various types of vegetative reproduction we have discussed, and diagrams are given here, children, which will be very, very clear in your textbook. Please go through the diagram and learn along with this. Okay, children, when you learn the vegetative reproduction in plants, please refer the diagram. It will be helpful to you to keep remember. Okay, and advantages of natural vegetative reproduction. It is since it has 4 points, you will get as a 3-mark question. Only one parent is required for propagation. No need of, like say asexual reproduction, no need of 2 parent. Only one parent is enough for the propagation, that is for reproduction. The new individual plants produced are genetically identical. Yes, of course, already I said. When the parent are single, then the young ones are identical to each other like a clones. Some plants, this enables to spread rapidly. Example, spinifex. Then horticulturalists and farmers utilize these organs of natural vegetative reproduction for cultivation and to harvest plants in large scales. Okay, these are the advantages of natural vegetative propagation or reproduction. What are the disadvantage of natural vegetative reproduction? Only one disadvantage, we could not see any variation. That is the disadvantages of natural vegetative reproduction. So next one is artificial method of vegetative propagation. We are going to see now. Apart from the above mentioned natural methods of vegetative reproduction, a number of methods are used in agriculture and horticulture to propagate plants from their parts. Okay, actually what we discussed in the above paragraphs, it said about the natural method of vegetative reproduction. In this our involvement is not takes place. Okay, but in artificial method, artificially in the horticulture and agriculture, for some of the benefits, they are doing the vegetative propagation artificially. Some of the artificial propagation methods have been used by man for a long time and are called conventional method. Nowadays, technically is being used for propagation to produce a large number of plants in short period of time. Such methods are said to be what? Modern methods. Actually, in artificial vegetative reproduction, there are 2 methods. One is conventional, another one is modern method. In conventional method, artificial propagation method have been used by man for a very long time, and it is called conventional. In modern method, technically they are producing large number of plants in short period of time. This is called what? Modern method of vegetative propagation. Let's see about conventional methods. The common methods of conventional propagations are cutting, grafting and layering. Cutting, it is a method of producing a new plant by cutting the plant parts such as root, stem and leaf from the parent plant. The cut part is placed in a suitable medium for growth. It produces roots and grows into new plant. Depending upon the part used, it is called as root cutting. Example, malus, stem cutting, hibiscus, bougainvillea and moringa, and leaf cutting in a begonia, bryophyllum. Stem cutting is widely used for propagation. Okay, it is nothing but any one in cutting method, any part of the vegetative structure cut into fragments, and these fragments, if we keep in a suitable medium, it develop root system and form a new plant. Okay, so there are three types of cutting: stem cutting, root cutting, leaf cutting, based on the part we used. Okay, mostly stem cuttings are used for propagation. Next one is grafting. In this parts of two different plants are joined so that they continue to grow as one plant. Of the two plants, the plant which is in contact with the soil is called stalk, and the plant used for grafting is called scion. So examples are citrus, mango and apple. There are different types of grafting based on the method of uniting the scion and stalk. They are bud grafting, approach grafting, tongue grafting, crown grafting and wedge grafting. So these are the different types of grafting method we can see in the plants. Okay, let's see with the diagram, children. You will have a diagram here. See, bud grafting, here one is scion, another one is stalk. That is, the plant which is in contact with the soil is called stalk, and the plant which is attached with the stalk is called what? Scion. Okay, so there are different types of grafting. Let's see one by one. Bud grafting, a T-shaped incision is made in the stalk and the bark is lifted. The scion bud with little wood is placed in the incision beneath the bark and properly bandaged with a tap. So this is what bud grafting. With the help of diagram you could understand this type very clearly, children. So refer the diagram when you learn. Here I could not show the diagram along with the text. So when you learn with your textbook, definitely you can go that. Next, approach grafting. In this method, both the scion stalk remain rooted. Both are rooted. The stalk is grown in a part and it is brought close to the scion. Both of them should have the same thickness. A small slice is cut from both and the cut surface are brought near and tied together and held up by tape. So after 1 to 4 weeks, the tip of the stalk and base of the scion are cut off and detached and grown in a separate part. Next one is tongue grafting. A scion and stalk having the same thickness is cut obliquely and the scion is fit into the stalk and bound with the tape. And crown grafting, when the stalk is large in size, scion are cut into wedge shape and are inserted on the slides or clefts of the stalk and fixed in position using craft wax. Next one is wedge grafting. In this method, a slit is made in the stalk or the bark is cut. A twig of scion is inserted and tightly bound so that the cambium of the two is joined. Okay, this is called what? Wedge grafting. Next one is layering. In this method, the stem of a parent plant is allowed to develop roots while still intact. When the root develops, the rooted part is cut and planted to grow as a new plant. So example, Ixora and Jasminum. Mound layering and air layering are the few types of layering. So in mound layering, this method is applied for the plants having flexible branches we can do. The lower branch with leaves is bent to the ground and a part of the stem is buried in the soil and tip of the branch is exposed above the soil. So after the roots emerge from the part of the stem buried in the soil, a cut is made in parent plant so that the buried part grow into a new plant. Okay, so here you can see, children, this layering, mound layering we can do with the flexible branches. The lower branches is make a bend and keep buried the stem under the soil and tip of the stem above the soil. So after some period, the stem under which we kept under the soil develop roots in its nodal region and develop into a new plant. And air layering you could see here. ஸ்டெம்மில் வந்துட்டு ஒரு மேலே இருக்கக்கூடிய வேஸ்குலர் டிஷ்யூவை விட்டுட்டு மீதி எல்லா லேயரையும் கட் பண்ணிடுறாங்க, பார்க் டிஷ்யூவை ரிமூவ் பண்ணிடுறாங்கம்மா. அதுக்கு அடுத்தது அந்த ரிமூவ் பண்ண இடத்துல மாய்ஸ்ட் சாயில், ஈரமான சாயிலை வைக்கிறாங்க. அதுக்கு வச்சுட்டு அதுக்கப்புறம் என்ன பண்ணுறாங்க அப்படின்னா பாலித்தீன் பேக்கை வச்சு டைப் பண்ணிடுறாங்க. இதுக்கப்புறம் என்னாகும் அப்படின்னு பார்த்துட்டிங்கன்னா, இந்த பாலித்தீன் பேக்குக்கு மேலே இருக்கிற ரீஜியன் ஒரு யங் ஒன்னாக டெவலப் ஆக ஆரம்பிக்கும், ரூட்டை டெவலப் பண்ணிவிட்டு. திஸ் இஸ் கால்டு வாட்? ஏர் லேயரிங். Air layering. In this method, the stem is girdled at nodal region and hormones are applied to this region, which promotes rooting. This portion is covered with damp or moist soil using polythene sheet. ஸோ அந்த கட் பண்ண இடத்துல ஹார்மோன்ஸ் அப்ளை பண்ணுவாங்க, க்ரோத் ஹார்மோன்ஸ், ஆக்சின், சைட்டோகைனின்ஸ் மாதிரி அப்ளை பண்ணுவாங்க. ரூட்ஸ் எமர்ஜ் இன் திஸ் ரீஜியன் in these branches after 2 to 4 months. Such branches are removed from the parent plant and grown in a separate part or ground. So next, advantages of conventional method. The plant produced are genetically uniform. Okay, many plants can be produced quickly by this method. Sorry children. Many plants can be produced quickly by this method. Some plants produce little or no seeds. In others, the seeds produced do not germinate. In such cases, plant can be produced in short period by this method. In some plants, there is no seed, or if though they are producing, the seeds will not be germinate. In such cases, they are using this conventional method and produce many plants in short period. Some plants can be propagated more economically by vegetative propagation. Example, Solanum tuberosum. And two different plants with desirable characters such as disease resistant and high yield can be grafted and grown as a new plant with the same desirable character. These are the advantages of conventional method. What are the disadvantages of conventional method? Use of virus infected plant as parent produce viral infected new plant. So when we are using the viral infected plant for grafting or layering or any method of conventional, it leads to production of infected plants only. Then vegetative structure used for propagation are bulky and so they are difficult to handle and store. So vegetative structure used for propagation are bulky. So to handle and store it is very difficult. So this is what about disadvantage and advantages of conventional method. Next topic is sexual reproduction, children. This I will discuss in my next class. Okay. And today's homework, explain and mention it advantage, disadvantage of conventional methods of vegetative propagation. This is the only question. Complete it and send it to me. And children, already I sent the schedule for your revision. Go through along with that, make thorough the portion and prepare yourself for upcoming January monthly test. Okay. So I'll get you in my next class. Bye.